Hello ladies and gentlemen, we're back again, and we are going to have a look at the HUD. So just to remind you where we are, I've got my player controller open here. So this player controller here, remember we built this with the setup UI, a function there. Oh, yeah, you got to double click it, and then so effectively when we run the game, we don't have a mouse cursor, so we end up losing control of our screen. And what we need to do is enable, so if we go to some of our class defaults, we can go to our mouse interface here and enable the mouse cursor, mouse click events, mouse over event. I'm just going to click them all. Beautiful. And compile and save and close the player controller. Should have done that earlier. Okay. Just to test that, this is where we should be at now. You can see my mouse is now there, and I've got some little buttons on the screen. Brilliant. Okay. So for the next part of the tutorial, we are going to look at our widget again. Okay, and we've got these buttons: view button, subs button, upload button, and position button. And we now need to kind of flesh this out a bit. We need something to happen on here. So we're going to learn a little bit about what the capabilities of the widgets are, because they do have kind of some unique properties. I remembered what they were based on, and I've forgotten again. But I'm just going to change the names of these text boxes because we will reference them later as well. And I should have done it in the first tutorial, so I'm just going to call this just to kind of keep that consistency. I'm just going to keep the word text and change the rest to reference the button itself, the name of the button. Okay, so pause. Okay. Widgets are built on the Slate, which is another 2D alternative to Box 2D. I am led to believe, I think on the right lines there. Box 2D and Slate are kind of 2D. Obviously we're working in a 3D engine, and the Box 2D and Slate are 2D kind of engines themselves that deal with, the very flat two-dimensional images. And widget is based on Slate. It doesn't have the same functionalities as Slate, I believe, but it is beautiful. Look at this: hierarchies, animations, properties. Very simple to use, very nice and easy to format and make simple, and I guess very user-friendly. Very well. Yeah, you can just imagine what you can build with this. Okay, let's go back to our button. I've got my views button selected here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down on the right hand side here and click this on clicked event. So you can actually have different events for each one of these. So the properties of the button has different events, and we're going to add an on-clicked event, and it adds this little node into our graph. Did you see that happen? We have a graph here with now an on-clicked button views event. Go back into my designer, and there I am between graph and designer. Select my subs button and click on the add button there. Upload button, click on the add button there, position button, and the add button there, and there we have it. 4 events, one for each button. And as I've done that, you'll notice it will have populated your variables list with variables for each button. Okay, and that's because the variable button is highlighted, and we've got functions for each one of your and I can double click that and it will take me directly to it. Very nice. Okay, so I don't need these two here. I'm actually not going to use them in this tutorial, I don't think. We can always add them later. So I'll delete them. Okay, keep it nice and tidy. Compile and save. Okay, what I am going to do is I am going to go back to my tutorial and I'm going to introduce something called an enum. Okay, and this is just a way for me to reference in a single variable which one of those events was fired, which one of those buttons was clicked. So I'm going to add an enumeration. So in the blueprints drop down, select enumeration. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to break convention, call this e underscore my enum. And the reason for that I will show you in a short while. So I've just double clicked that and I've entered my enum, and this effectively is where I click on to create 4 new variables or just items, enumerators in my list. Okay, so these are going to be my buttons. So I've got a views button, I've got a subscriptions button, I have an uploads, and I also have the position. Okay, and that's all I need to do with that. I'm going to save that and close it. I won't need to go back into that one. It's taking me conveniently back to my widget, and I can now deal with kind of a complex issue with widgets. Is you can't really do much with casting. Cast to my game mode, my playground. You can. There are some limitations to communicating with the widget. Okay, what we are going to do anyway is we want to fire the same event when either one of these buttons are pressed, and just passing in a reference to which button was pressed to the rest of the code, so we can then compare the value of that button and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is add an event dispatcher. Okay, and effectively this is something that I can use to communicate with a different blueprint or in a different class, and that effectively just extends the capabilities of the widget. Okay, let's just create this. So this is called my button, I guess, and here what I'm going to do is in my input section, so this is my button selected, and the properties of my button down here, I'm going to click on new and select, I'm going to drop down from boolean. I don't want to add a boolean, don't want to press that one, I want to press this one, and I'm going to expand enum, and that was the reason I prefixed the e at the start there. So my enum is the one I've just created. I'm going to call that my enum like that. So now I can drag this and drop it on here, and it gives me a list of things that I could do with that event dispatcher, and all I want to do is call the dispatcher, and I'm going to hook up the onClicked event to my button event dispatcher, and from the new parameter, which shouldn't be called new parameter, compile it. Yes, I'll have to delete that. After we create the enum, but make sure you compile your blueprint, drop in, call it, and now you can see that's called my enum and not new parameter. So let's drag and drop that on there and drop this down, and look at that. These are the 4 e numbers that we've created. So this is the views button, and I can just right click this and duplicate and duplicate and duplicate like that. Let's keep it nice and messy. No, that's never gonna do. And uploads, and in here position. Okay, so when each one of these buttons is pressed, it will actually run this, we'll call this event dispatcher. Okay, so we're going to need to know a little bit more about what an event dispatcher is, aren't we? So let's start with creating the rest of the code. Yes, okay. So we will come back to this event dispatcher once we've created our game state and initialized that. Okay, let's call it there, and we'll